Hey, Roland, how's it going? Let me just get my setup up and running. Put the webcam on the teacup. Yes, I use a teacup as a placeholder so that the webcam gets a little bit higher. Oh, look, it's working. Brilliant. Brilliant. I love it. Does it make me look more intellectual? Having glasses, I mean. Huh? When I was a kid, that was the stereotype that if you have glasses, you're intellectual. So, let me show you something. Or actually, never mind. I'll wait for more people to join the stream before we can go into the interesting political debate. Have you guys watched Sargon and Destiny yesterday? Because you actually asked me to watch the debate. I think that Destiny said a lot of interesting points, and apparently they debated. I really don't agree. I mean, I can't say I don't agree, but I don't think like Sargon is going to persuade a lot of people with his women have a duty to have children. I think that's really a really bad way to put it. Right? So the question that he has is like, well, can you have a welfare state, which we do, if the next generation doesn't have enough people, especially working people, to be able to pay for the previous generation? Because that's what the welfare state is. It's the young people that have a job, that are working hard, they're paying taxes, and the taxes go to welfare, right? So can you have that if the new generation doesn't have enough working people? And the answer is no. So Sargon is like, oh, well, then women have a duty. And it's like, no. I think, like, people need to understand what's important for them. And a lot of people live in the now and they don't live in the future. And I spoke with a lot of elderly when I was at the hospital. And these people, they did have children, but because the economic situation is poor in Romania, these people went into Germany, Italy, Spain, Canada, and they're never coming back. Like, they're not coming back to see their grandparents again. And this causes really, really chronic depression into the elderly, because going through Christmas after Christmas, birthday after birthday, and not having anyone coming there, like no one is attending, and you're all alone, or you have an emergency, you have something, and there's no one to help you. There's no one you can call. It's depressing as fuck. And this is what happens if you're planning not to have children, right? Because it's really good to live in the now when you're young and you can do whatever you want and you can go partying and all of this thing. But unfortunately, there will be a time when this decision is going to bear consequences. And that's the question, like, do people even know about these consequences? Because no one is telling them. So the issue with all governments today we have is that everything is scaled on the idea that more people will be born to support the last generation. Yeah, like the welfare state, in a way, is kind of like a Ponzi scheme. So the idea is that the people that are working today are going to support the elderly, and their children are going to support them, and their grandchildren are going to support their children, and so on and so forth. But from what I gather, especially in the European Union, and it's probably here in Romania as well, a lot of the money that was spent for welfare, for the pension and whatnot, yeah, that might not work out. There are rumors, like some economists are saying that the money was stolen because of corruption and government incompetence, as well as inflation, and the people today might not have a pension when they grow old. So it's going to be really interesting to find out if that really is the case. Lapco 92, perfect time. I just got home. Was able to watch Tales from the Golden Age. Entertaining and different. Thanks for the suggestion. Pick go boom. Yeah, so Tales from the Golden Age is a Romanian movie talking about communism. Also, thank you, Democrat, for £1. Um, My advice for people, especially the ones in Europe, if you have money, if you have means, don't rely on the state for your pension. The best thing you can do is to buy 2 or 3 apartments in the course of your lifetime and then rent them out so you can have money when you're old. Don't rely on the government. Is the worst thing that can happen to you is to have no other options but to get handouts from the government. So, because I can see how they're treating the elderly in Romania. Like, I can definitely see how bad it is for some elderly to rely on the government pension. So, the best thing you can do is to just like either buy 1 or 2 apartments and then rent them out. Or you can, I guess, like you can also, if you're in a rural area, you can buy some land and then you can rent it out. I mean, there's other options, but this is something that I thought about. Because if you do this, like you don't really have to put in a lot of effort. Like it's not like maintaining a business. So there's that. But I want to show you something else. This is Thomas Sowell's take on why black people in the United States are doing poor from an economics perspective. And this is like the number of people that are being born to single parents, right? So as you can see, it started off in the 50s, kind of close. I mean, it wasn't really that much of a problem. I mean, 20%. That's kind of low. You know, still higher, I guess, than white people. But yeah, okay, fine. And then you notice that in the 60s, in the 1960s, something happened. In the 1960s, it's also like white people, but also well, we don't know about the Hispanic, but I assume like they would have gotten through the same trend because like all races are going. It's just like for the black people, it's really bad, right? So now apparently like 72% of births to unwed mothers, right? So you can see that here in the 1960s is the problem, and you get the American black family to almost be destroyed, I guess. I mean, it's like what 2 out of 3 people are raised by a single mother. Right? Now, being raised by a single parent isn't impossible, but it's not optimal. I mean, the gateway out of poverty is marriage. Not only do you have 2 incomes in the household, not only can you split the chores, but think about it. Like if you want to get a job, the most important thing for getting a job is to have connections, is to know someone that knows a guy and they can find a job for you. So now you have like double the networking, double the connections. And black people are being deprived of that. So apparently what happened in the 1960s is the birth of the welfare state. Like if you're a single mother, you get more benefits and stuff. So the government actually incentivized, because like you need to understand, people take the path of least resistance. Like most laws don't really act the way the government expects them to act. Like for example, the idea of a transgender bathroom, right? So all companies need to have a transgender bathroom. Well, what happens is that companies will just have one bathroom that's unisex. So the lawmaker can expect the companies to have 3 bathrooms, but instead like the company can just have one and it's unisex. So that's what happens. They have a really big it's called child support. Yeah, that is also another one. Like it's a series of legislation in the 60s, not just child support. Child support is also one of these laws that isn't really thought out well. I guess it kind of makes sense, right? Like the father should still pay money for the child, but what do you do if like the woman pockets all the money? Because I knew a couple of cases actually from my high school. Like there was this kid and his parents were divorced. His dad was very wealthy, but his mother was the one that didn't have a job. And the father would constantly give money for the child, but the mother would pocket everything. So like she would, use the money to go out partying, to meet up other guys, and she wouldn't give my friend a single dollar. Like, my friend had to ask me for money so he can go out on a date. And that's how things were. But, I don't know if these are all the cases, but it's kind of annoying in a way because the money doesn't go to the kid. It actually goes to the other parent. It amazes me how decades of slavery and Jim Crow laws couldn't cripple the black community, but less than a decade of welfare damn near destroyed it. Yeah, I think that's from Thomas Sowell. But think about it, like if you think about black culture, the jazz era, like there are so many good jazz players, and it's such an amazing art style. I absolutely love it. And then you listen to some modern rap where it's like, oh, I'm going to bust a cup into the N-word ass, and it's like, I guess, but is this like really all the type of music style? Like Cardi B, Wet Ass Pussy. I'm not saying this type of music shouldn't exist, but like, is it really something that you'd be proud of? It's like, and it's kind of funny because it's mostly white people listening to this shit. But still, like, comparing it to jazz, like, are there even modern jazz players? I'm really curious because if there are, they're definitely not being promoted. Like, it's not a commercial music anymore. When it comes to single-parent statistics by race in the United States, census data shows that the predominant ethnicity of single-parent mothers and fathers is white, non-Hispanic. Yeah, it's quite probably. I mean, as I mentioned, okay, this is not just black people. I mean, the statistic does show that it happens with all races, but what also happens, if you look at the breakdown, the rich people, the wealthy people, they're still married. It's just like the working class people that aren't. So I guess like if you look at white people, they are a larger percentage of the population, and I guess like the affluent ones, they're still married. But the thing is, like, what if, like, this is my question, what if marriage makes you affluent? Like, because look, here's another part of marriage, right? When your parents die, you get to inherit their stuff. So if you're a single mother, your parents die, you inherit their stuff, and that's it. But if you're a family, both members of the family inherit stuff from their relatives, and that just adds up, that just builds up in the wealth. Like, there are so many advantages of being married versus doing it solo. The song that highlights the dramatic change in the black community is Papa Was a Rolling Stone. I haven't listened to it. Today's pop music is lame and boring. Man, like, I don't even know. I guess like the cool music from today is K-pop. Like that's something niche. Well, if you can call it niche here in the West. But like when I grew up, you had heavy metal, you had death metal, like edgy songs that parents told you not to listen. Nowadays, like what is a song that you would consider edgy? What exactly is a song that? And the thing with like heavy metal is that the guitarists and the drummer were really talented. Like they actually knew how to sing music. Fats Waller was a black piano player so good he was kidnapped at gunpoint to play for Al Capone's birthday. My fucking god, that is such an epic tale. I didn't know about it. But can you imagine how he felt like? Why did they have to kidnap him though? Like why couldn't they just pay him? Because how would you feel if you're like the piano player and you get kidnapped just to make money? Because I'm pretty sure like they paid him. Like, especially like Al Capone, he probably didn't, just not pay the guy. He probably gave him some money so he would shut the fuck up. Hold on, I need to look into this. Fats Waller kidnap. I'm curious. Like this is just. This is beautiful. In a sick, twisted kind of mafioso way. So Waller was kidnapped in Chicago while leaving a performance in 1926. 4 men bundled him into a car, communist style, I guess, and took him to the Hawthorne Inn, owned by Al Capone. A terrified Waller realized he was the surprise guest at Capone's birthday party and was relieved that the kidnappers had no intention to kill him. Fuck. Oh. So he was kidnapped in Chicago, yeah, by 4 people, and I love him. Like usually, the surprise guest at least knows that he is the surprise guest, but I guess in this case, neither Al Capone nor him knew that he's the surprise guest. And by the way, like they managed to do this without diversity hires, right? Like this was an actually talented individual. So sad, man. My great uncle never married. He loved work and reading. He couldn't work at 80. He had to move to a veteran's home at 83 when he couldn't walk. His vision became too poor to read, and he lived to 93. You know, I'm not saying that marriage is 100% a guarantee that you're going to have a happy elderly life. But what I'm saying is that it is a chance that you can avoid poverty. Google is being fined 50 million euros. Are they implementing link taxes now? I haven't heard about it, though. He was found in the street drunk later with his pocket stuffed full of money. Ah, there we go. See, I told you. If you don't want to work for someone, being paid doesn't matter, does it? I mean, obviously what they did is kidnapping and it's illegal. It's still a funny story, right? Because there are other stories with people that are forced to work for someone and they don't get paid. So it can be actually worse. The point is that it's a sad story. It is a sad story. No, I absolutely understand it. But like I'm looking at my grandmother, you know, like my grandmother wanted to divorce my grandpa. And she's really lucky because she didn't, because when she was old, she also lost her sight. She was stuck in bed, and without the family, like there was no one to take care of her. And sure, you know, you can, I guess, go into an elderly retirement home or whatever, but is it something like really, like, do you expect to find the loving embrace of the state, of some corporation or an institution? Honestly, like leftists who seem to love institutions and corporations so much, they probably deserve the cold arm of the institution when they get old. Okay. Even if a household has 2 wages here, they would still be considered in poverty. I mean, it depends on the wage, I guess, but wouldn't they be more poor with just one? And yes, I am drinking coffee. Why wouldn't I? Well, it's actually mush at this point. It's just like slush. Disgusting, but yet it keeps me awake. Had a really hard day, having to wake up early in the morning so that my soon-to-be wife tested her new dress. And by the way, I did buy her the dress. Had to pay half up front, and I'm going to have to pay half next month. And now I need to go buy a suit for myself. But it's you know, it's fine. I'll send pic. By the way, just while we're on the topic of weddings, I almost had a heart attack when I found out just how much it is to hire a guy that takes the pictures. Like let's see how much is a person taking pictures in your country? Because like here, if you want a wedding photographer, the price starts from 1,000 euros. So at least 1,000 euros to hire a guy to take pictures. It's like, motherfucker, I got a phone, okay? I'll take pictures myself with my phone. Jesus. It's like, I'm marrying a woman, right? So because she's a woman, she knows how to Photoshop, so she can actually make the photos herself. Who on earth pays more than $1,000? Like $1,000 is literally the cheapest. The cheapest. Thank you, Sarah J. Jacobson. No, like she was really happy. I never seen that woman so happy than when I said that she can buy the dress. And when I looked at the prices, you know, I was a little bit exaggerated because I felt like 2,000 euro dress is too much. But I look at the other prices, and I think it starts from 2,000. Like I seen wedding dresses for 3, for 4. There was one wedding dress for 5,000, and I asked her like, "What the fuck? Does it come with gold plated? Like if I cut it, does money fall out? Like why?" Hiring a guy to take pictures. No, I was curious. Speaking of luxury, I've been telling people for a while to learn handiwork and how to replicate technology used in daily life. The amount of people who don't know how to do housework is unbelievable. So, yeah, I mean, I actually had to learn how to properly mop the floors. I know it sounds silly and ridiculous, but I was mopping the floors before, just not properly. Like I would always leave something behind. So now I know how to do it. Cleaning windows is also something that's like cleaning windows, but it's not to clean them, but to make sure that there is not a single spot left. Like there's also a trick to it. So yeah. Tab stream to pay off wedding debts. Thank you, Limfrey. I'll consider it. Start going on walks and do push to lose weight so you can fit in your suit. Nonsense. It's just like one. The problem with losing weight is not doing gymnastics. The problem with losing weight is that I need to eat 3 meals a day, and I just don't have the time to cook so much. The flowers and cakes are also upcharged. Yeah, I'm not going to do flowers and cake. Fuck that shit. Like at this point, I'm starting to feel that the culture surrounding weddings is trying to extort me. Like I have not paid so much money since the down payment for this house. I am not doing flowers and cake. Like fuck that shit. Like the guests are going to order dessert from the menu, and that's that. I'm not hiring a guy to take pictures. Like I'm going to take them with my smartphone. I don't care. Okay? Like it's just like no. What happened to my diet? I kept the diet. I lost 10 kilograms and then I stopped. It was the hardest time in my life. Was disastrous. I can clean very good, but I cannot bloody cook for the life of me. We have a gas oven and I'm afraid of using matches. Haven't you paid 200 euros for the dietitian? But I did lose weight, Tefik. Like I actually lost 10 kilograms. And besides, I don't find the problem with my weight. If I was 100 kilograms, I would find the problem. I think I'm like 84, 83 last time I weighed myself. So it's fine. Do it yourself is the way for weddings. I don't know. I mean, I can't tailor a suit. I can't tailor a wedding dress. So you should see what they do for a Bangladesh wedding. Jesus. That's it, V. It's for you, not tradition. Tradition focus only belittles it. I mean, okay, I decided to get her a wedding dress because it's like that one. Because we could have just not got a wedding dress, But I said, okay, well, it's one in a lifetime occasion, so fine, like have the wedding dress. And I'll get a suit. But I am not getting a photographer. I'm not paying 1,000 euros for a photograph. That is ridiculous. Okay, like that's just like, and apparently like I know cases where the photographer took the photos and then took the money and never returned. So I could probably master the sewing machine. Okay, the Divina. I don't think like the sewing machine is that difficult. But yeah, I said yes to the dress. You guys convinced me. So let's talk about first world problems. I mean, this is at least how I saw things in from Europe regarding people in the West. A former classmate from Yale recently told me monogamy is kind of outdated and not good for society. I love it. It's like you need to go to a university to make this dumb statement. It's like, yeah, having one partner raising kids is not good for society. So I asked her what her background is and if she planned to marry. She said she comes from an affluent family and works at well-known technology company. And yes, she personally intends to have a monogamous marriage, but quickly added that marriage shouldn't be for everyone. So these are the rich, wealthy twats, okay? And as I showed you on the statistic, 85% of rich people, they're still married, but they will tell you that you shouldn't get married. Unfucking believable. By the way, I spoke with a communist on Twitter. I know, right? And they told me that marriage isn't the end all be all because you can do everything you can do in marriage with a roommate. Okay, this is how the Marxist thinks. Let me see if I can find the tweet. So we're talking about Thomas Sowell. And by the way, do not contact him. Okay, like I'm not doing this in order to spark a conversation with him or whatever. It's just because I seen other people think this way. So I was talking about Thomas Sowell, and he says people should get married so they can have two household incomes. Like, bro, you even heard of a roommate? Like a roommate can split rent with you. They're easier to obtain and break away from this than a whole life. Much more economically viable. Yeah. Okay. So let's say I live with a roommate. All right. And we both managed to gather enough money so we can have a down payment on a house. Do you think me and the roommate are going to buy the same fucking house and pitch our resources together? But this is interesting because this is exactly uh, the problem with people that are Marxist minded, Marxist oriented. This is because you don't value anything dealing with having a family, commitment, or duty. You lack the ability to have responsibility, hence why you couched your response in the difficulty of being able to run away from marriage. And he actually agreed. Not about like the running away from marriage part, but the part with responsibility and duty. I mean, honestly, this interesting choice in living only for pleasures and nothing for yourself. Like, human interaction is not based this way. Like, Facebook likes are the perfect example. Okay? Like, Facebook likes. They're meaningless, right? But people, for some reason, want them. Do you know how you get Facebook likes? You get Facebook likes if you like other people's shit. In other words, like, people won't give you likes unless you give them likes. So if you don't feel that you should never, if you feel that you should never have a duty towards other people, then that means that other people will never have a duty towards you. Which means that, like, once you are in a predicament, once you have some problem, no one is going to try and help you out. Because you're a selfish person and you isolated yourself. You wanted to live for pleasure and you didn't try to help other people. What are we celebrating? Oh, it's our silver roommate responsibility. No, but I never thought, like, it didn't even cross my mind. It's like, hey, a roommate. I don't even know if there are roommates that share their income. Like, they put their money together in a box. I mean, sure, you can share the rent. Yeah, you can do that. You can share some food. But you're never going to have the same relationship with a roommate that you're going to have with a spouse. It is just so bizarre. Take the hedonism pill, V. Responsibilities for the true egotist. Well, I think life is, on a certain level, for hedonistic pleasures. Like, everyone should indulge every now and then. But you should indulge in moderation. Like, it shouldn't be like, I hate the opposite, because the opposite ideology is that life is all about suffering and devoting yourself for others. I don't think that either. I think you need to be able to strike a balance, and every person should be able to judge what that balance is. But, like, the idea that you should never get married, not because you don't feel like getting married, like because you didn't find a person that's compatible, but because you don't want the responsibility and the sense of duty, then I think there is an underlying psychological problem there. I mean, there are people who genuinely, like, do not find another person that they're compatible with, and I understand them. It's like, hey, you've been looking, you tried finding someone, and you couldn't. Okay, it sucks, but I can understand the sentiment. What I don't understand is like someone who would find a significant other, but they just don't want to get married because they don't want the sense of duty. That's just bizarre. I'm starting to sound like a closeted Christian. No, because a closeted Christian, at least the Orthodox in my country, they're like, life is all about suffering. Life is all about giving yourself to others. Life is all about prayer. I'm not like that. I don't even say like you shouldn't have sex before marriage. No, you should have sex before marriage, but use the fucking condom. Like have some common sense. And it also depends, like having sex before marriage a couple of times, or when you're in a relationship, versus like having constant casual sex. Like you're going to party after party and you're just having like 100 partners and whatnot. That's going to hurt you, and the way it hurts you is that the more one night stands you have, the less attracted you're going to be to other people. So finding that significant other is going to be incredibly hard. So you're having pleasure in the moment, but later on you're going to realize, oh shit, I can't fall in love anymore. So yeah, I mean, whatever. It's just like a choice. You're going to reach a crossroads, and the decisions you make are going to affect the path you're going to take later on. Roomie is when one roommate pays the bills on time and take care of the apartment, the other munches. Eventually, one moves out and gets married, and the other one becomes a communist. Yeah, some altruism is good, Tactical Droid, but I also think like too much altruism is horrible. Okay, so let's go back to the morality of the luxurious. So she was raised by a traditional family. She planned on having a traditional family, but she maintained that traditional families are old-fashioned. Society should evolve beyond them. Who could explain this? Yeah, so this is like the Foucault ideology. Foucault is a cancerous twat who had the audacity of writing philosophy and is now poisoning the minds of the youth. Basically, according to Foucault, every single duty, every single rule, every single value needs to be deconstructed, because every single rule is oppressive. And certainly, like, some rules are oppressive, but others are not. Others are there for a reason. So by deconstructing literally every single rule we have, you end up with anarchy, which is probably what Foucault actually wanted. He wanted to destroy the capitalist state, I guess, huh? Well, actually, the people that came after him and used his teachings wanted to do that. But, like, for example, Foucault considers that prison is oppressive, so we need to abolish prison. So every time you hear, like, abolish the cops, abolish the prisons, it's Foucault. I guess, like, the way they are selling it is like, well, like, people are in prison for pot or whatever, and they shouldn't be in prison for pot. Fine, meh. But what about the rapists? What about the murderers? What about the people who break the COVID quarantine? Now, I never understood, like, the American thing about pot, okay? I understand that, well, people claim, I don't know how true it is, but people claim it was to strike at the black community, right? Because they were the ones doing pot the most, I guess. Okay, but, like, if pot is illegal, stop doing pot. I mean, I guess the prohibition was to strike at men, wasn't it? Right? Because men were drinking alcohol the most. So, if the prohibition comes, stop drinking alcohol and you won't have problems. I don't fucking understand it. Whatever. It's just my 2 cents. Because, like, for me, it's really weird. I mean, pot is illegal in Romania, right? I don't think they made it illegal to strike at the black community. But, like, pot is very rare in Romania, from what I know. Like, I went through high school, no one offered to me. I wouldn't even know where to buy it. I never had a friend that was addicted to it. It's so rare. And it's illegal. And people don't do it. So, and I don't think it's because, like, they wouldn't be able to get it. I mean, we're close to Russia, like, I'm pretty sure, like, the Russian imports could come in, or Ukraine, or other nation states. There is no pot here. There are other drugs, but pot isn't one of them. In the past, upper-class Americans used to display their social status with luxurious goods. Today, they do it with luxurious beliefs. Why not both? People care a lot about social status. In fact, research indicates that respect and admiration from our peers are even more important than money for our sense of well-being. Yeah, I think I know why. Um, this is a misconstruction. A lot of people will say human beings are greedy, so they want more, more, more. No, human beings have a capacity to adapt. And this is true for wealth and it's true for poverty. So, for example, if you have a person that in a car crash loses their legs, they're not going to be depressed for their entire life. They're going to go through a depression, but then they're going to accept the new situation, the new condition, and they're going to adapt. And studies do show this. Like, you have people that lost their legs or lost their sight or lost their hearing, and they're still happy after a while. You know, like they can still experience happiness and whatnot. Like, they're not going to go like 10 years after the fact. It's the same with being wealthy. Like, let's say, you know, you grow up in a household and then you manage to land a job and you make a lot of money and you can buy yourself a new apartment and you buy yourself some cool stuff. You're not going to wake up 5 years and you're going to be, wow, I'm so wealthy, I'm so great. You know, you're going to get used to it. You get used to your condition. So this is why people, when it comes to money, they don't put that much value on it because they get used to that situation. But when it comes to the respect and admiration from our peers, well, you can't really get used to that because you don't get it all the time, right? Like, there is no person that does something and every day they go out like people are, oh my god, you're the best, oh, you're so good. Like, you get admiration and respect from your peers one day and then you can lose it the next. So it's a constant effort you keep struggling to get. And this is why, like, people care more about it than they care about money. Weed can get you executed in Asia? Get the fuck out. I don't believe that. V, moderates like Destiny and his open relationship. Are you saying elite get elite, but plebs better be tradcon because they can't be by winning? No, I'm not saying that. I mean, what I am saying is that statistically, there is a track record out of poverty by being married. If you want to have an open relationship like Destiny or whatever, you know, that's your personal choice. I mean, Destiny makes probably so much money, he doesn't give a fuck. I'm pretty sure Destiny has a lot of money right now to last until he's old. So, you know, if you're in that situation, you can have whatever relationship you want. But if you're a working class lad and you're struggling paycheck to paycheck, then yeah, getting married is actually better than being single. Like, that would be my point. Like, it's also one, I'm not going to kid, I even spoke with my fiance. It's like one of the reasons I want to get married. It's like, so we can help each other for better or for worse. If she loses her job she's going to be unemployed, I'm going to do my best in order to take care of her until she can find a new job. If I lose my job, I hope she's going to take care of me until I find something else. But imagine you're single and you have no other option and you're like out of a job. What do you do? I didn't know about Singapore. Kind of scary because sometimes people will put things in your luggage. I guess that's a good way to that's an interesting way to get someone executed. It's just like put something in their luggage and then call the cops. No, I don't believe this, Veraldo. Like, you need zero tolerance for degeneracy. No, I don't think like the death penalty shouldn't be for literally everything. You know, like, okay, they found the guy with some pot, and it's like, the death penalty. It's horrible. He also doesn't have to worry about his girl looking for someone else, because there is likely no one better than she can find. I don't know the relationship between Destiny and his significant other. Maybe. I haven't even seen her. I don't even know. Anyway, let's go back to the thingy. So, the upper class have found a clever solution to this problem, luxury belief. These are ideas and opinions that confer status on the rich at very little cost, while taking a toll on the lower class. Yeah, it's exactly what I said. It's like the lower class is having a difficult way getting out of poverty. Marriage is one of those ways, and the upper class is saying, you shouldn't get married. One example of the luxury belief is that all family structures are equal. Evidence is clear that families with two married parents are the most beneficial for young children, and yet affluent, educated people raised by two married parents are more likely than others to believe that monogamy is outdated, marriage is a sham, and that all families are the same. So I don't know about the Islamic family, right? So I don't know like if research have looked into the Islamic family where you have like one man married with multiple wives. Like maybe that also can produce good children. I have no idea. But what I do know is that single parents compared to parents that live together have a significant impact on child development. Relaxed attitudes about marriage trickle down to the working class and the poor. In the 1960s, marriage rates between upper class and lower class Americans were nearly identical, but during this time, affluent Americans loosened social norms, expressing skepticism about marriage and monogamy. This luxury belief contributed to the erosion of the family. Today, the marriage rates of affluent Americans are nearly the same, like in the 60s, but for working class people are far less likely to get married. Furthermore, out of wedlock birth rates are more than 10 times higher than they were in the 1960s, mostly among the poor and working class. Okay, so this can be explained with several ways. It's like, okay, maybe being married makes you be affluent. Like, as I mentioned before, like the inheritance from two people is a lot higher. Two incomes, you get more connections, right? But it can also I suppose it's also because of Hollywood movies and other things saying it's trendy not to get married. It's cool, it's hip. It's like it's so lame and outdated to get married. So sad. Another luxury belief is that religion is rational or harmful. Members of the upper class are most likely to be atheists or non-religious, but they have the resources and access to thrive without the unifying social edifice of religion. Yeah, so if religion is done right, okay, because I seen religion done poorly, but religion done right, I know from my high school, I had a lot of evangelical colleagues. Now, the evangelicals are a very fringe minority in Romania. Most people are Orthodox. But what I did notice is that if one of them had a problem, like let's say their car broke down, literally all of the others pitched in to help. If one of them needed a job, everyone else pitched in to help. So they had like this very tightly knit community. Now, the Orthodox in Romania don't have that, but I think it's because they're the majority. I'm pretty sure like the Orthodox in the United States have this tightly knit community, while the evangelicals in the United States are more like the Orthodox in Romania. But I did see people like help each other using religion. I have definitely experienced this, and I don't know if social justice activists help each other the same way. Like if you're in a social justice group, and let's say your car broke down, if the others will pitch in money in order to help their comrade. The parents are supposed to be the first detailed example of how two people can interact in a good and constructive way. If the family is dysfunctional, it provides the same. I don't know. I mean, my parents never taught me how to date. It's some things you can learn by yourself, I suppose. Stone Age American Indian cultures were and are still perfectly valid. Marriage is an outdated tradition that is no longer valid. Oh, yeah, exactly. I heard this on Twitter so many times. It's just like they will talk about, some ancient tribe or some people in the past that they'll say, oh, well, what they were doing is perfectly valid. But at the same time, they would talk about marriage. Oh, it's so outdated, it's so evil. Jari, you, James Lindsay, and Short Fat Otaku are the best YouTubers at deconstructing the woke. Motherfucker, I'm not even trying. I'm just like, like Short Fat Otaku and Lindsay actually read academic papers. I'm just looking at some of these articles. I'm like, well, this doesn't really make sense to me. It's just like, I'm not even reading literature to deconstruct them. I mean, if I can do it, everyone can. I just thought I'm putting a humorous spin on this shit. But thank you, I appreciate it. I know for a fact that a lot of people from the South go to church to get a job and network. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much how you can use religion as a way to improve your life. I mean, most evangelicals that were at my high school managed to get a job because of their networking. That's really what church is at the end of the day, right? Like it's a place of networking, of getting to know the community. This is why I don't like the Orthodox Church. It's not. It's a lot more different. Let's put it like you don't have people sitting in benches and talking, with each other before and after mass. You just go there, you listen to a very boring sermon, and then you leave. So, meh, whatever. Places of worship are often essential for the social fabric of poor communities. Denigrating the importance of religion harms the poor. While affluent people often find meaning in their work, most Americans do not have the luxury of a profession. They have jobs, they clock in, they clock out. Without a family or a community to care for such a job, can feel meaningless. Yeah, I definitely agree. And by the way, I want to mention I'm an atheist, okay? Like, I don't believe in God, but I do believe that the power of social networking is real, and that people who go to church and they attend church, they can social network. And they can help each other because they're part of, I guess, like a similar interest groups. Then there's the luxury beliefs that individual decisions don't matter much compared to random social forces, including luck. The belief is more common among many of my peers at Yale and Cambridge. I grew up with in foster care of the women and men I serve in the military. The key message is that the outcome of your life are beyond your control. Right, so listen to this shit, okay? It is true, in a way, that certain things are lucky. Like, for example, my YouTube channel, right? I got lucky. There's so many other people starting a YouTube channel and they never managed to get traction. And they're probably a lot more charismatic. They're probably a lot better than me. But here's the thing, right? You can improve your luck in a way. So getting married, you now have access to a higher networking of people. Like, as I mentioned before, like your spouse's family becomes your family. Joining a religious group improves your social networking. So, which person is more likely to find a job? The person that's alone versus the person that's married and joins a religious group? And it depends the type of religious group you join, right? Because some of them, maybe they're not helping you at all. I would personally recommend, like if you really want to, network with people, find a religious group that is small. So don't go for the majority religion, right? So if you're in the United States, don't go for evangelicalism or Catholicism. Like, unless you're in a rural community. Go for, like, Orthodox. I don't know. I don't know anything about Buddhism and that type of shit. So I can't talk about that. But there must be, like, smaller Christian denominations that are minorities. And you can speak with them. And if you like what they're saying and you like that thing. I think, like, Mormonism might be good. But not like the fringe radicals, right? Like, just... Because you don't care about what they're saying. You don't care about their ideology. Like, what you want to do is, like, you want to join a group of conservative people that are willing to help each other out. That's what you want to do, right? And you also need to contribute. Like, if one of them has a problem, then you try to help them out. And if you actually make friends and you mingle, they're going to help you out in return. So I think that's definitely an important thing. It's a lot better than doing it solo. I don't know, maybe what I said is a little bit more controversial. Become a Jew? Yeah, sure, why the fuck not? I mean, and by the way, don't join a cult. I'm not talking about cults here, alright? Like, I'm not talking about things where people try to control you. I'm talking about things where people go every Sunday morning in order to talk with each other. Right? Like, make sure you don't join the Church of the Woke. They're actually a thing. Yeah, like they actually have like woke religion now. They they focus mostly on like they focus the woke ideology and religion and they ignore everything else. V, you cannot believe in a religion ironically. If you come with the I don't care, I'm here for the high trust. But you don't say that, Tactical Droid. Don't say I don't care, I'm here for the high trust. No, you go there and you say, hey, well, I'm a non-believer, or I'm an atheist, and I just I feel a void in my life, and I want to see what this is all about. Like that's how you talk, and you're not really lying. It's like I just you can even be honest if you want. You can be like, yeah, I don't think any religious group will kick you out. Like I even spoke about this with I believe his name is Distributist, right? Like the Catholic YouTuber. And I asked him, like, can atheists join church? And he's like, yes. Like if I'm an atheist and I like what the church teaches, but I don't believe in God, would I still be welcome in the church? And he's like, yeah. Join the esoteric order of the Dagon. Hello, HK9410. Stop oppressing me with your capitalist money. Donkey, the Democrat, I thought this was the religious group, Orthodox V4B. I mean, like this chat right here is pretty much what happens in a religious setting. Well, after Mass, I mean. You don't say that, they will know. I don't know, Tactical Droid. Again, like you're not doing something evil if you're contributing. iHypocrite did a video on woke love bombing, which makes a good point on cult-like behavior. I should watch it, to be honest. I should watch more of iHypocrite. Yeah, church communities love to have you in them. Like I've not experienced any type of church community that would say no to an atheist, unless you're going there to be disruptive. But if you're going there like legitimately with good spirit, and you're like, hey, you know what, I want to learn more about you guys. Like, look, I just have this void in my life. I really want to see, I didn't really fit in with my group, and I want to see how you guys are doing things and blah, blah, blah. I have never heard of anyone go, no. Convert to Islam for the woke points as well. Man, not really. No, I mean that's a little bit too radical for me. I would convert to Judaism though, but I wouldn't convert to Islam. Religion is dumb and fake, not like drugs. Drugs are cool and real. Jehovah Witness have this fellowship, which is effectively excommunication for certain bad behavior. Yeah, I wouldn't join. Like you have to research what the fuck you want to join, right? So you wouldn't want to join a Jehovah's group, because I think like what they do is they also send their kids like door to door in order to get embarrassed by asking people to convert, and people say no. Like it's a whole ritual there. Like that to me is a little bit bech. And what you're saying with the disfellowshipping, no, right? Like no. Religious gatekeeping from cynical actors. Tactical Droid, if I want to join a religious group, I will join it and people will love me. You have no idea. There is no gatekeeping you can do to prevent people like me from joining. The Jews are a little exclusive. They don't like letting people in. I don't know. I think if you join there with good intents, they might let you in. And at the end of the day, like you wouldn't know. Okay, if I join a Jewish group and I say, well, like it's the religion of my grandfather, and my grandfather died before his time, and before my time, and I just want to see what this is all about. I don't think that if you're actually honest and you're not there to be disruptive, you're just there to listen and to make friends with people and to help other people out, I don't think you're going to be kicked out from any church. Unless it's like some weird cult or some weird thing that like maybe you want to join like a radical mosque or something, and then they will be like, what are you doing here? Or maybe like some racist group and you don't fit in. It's like, oh, whitey, what are you doing here? But even then, probably not. Jehovah Witness do not allow blood transfusion. Yeah, like that's why I wouldn't join them. Jehovah's Witnesses are probably the easiest to join. I mean, they knock at your door every fucking day. I want to talk about Jesus. And all you have to say yes, and then ba. White privilege is the luxury belief that took me the longest to understand because I grew up around poor whites. Often members of the upper class claim that racial disparities stem from inherent advantages held by whites, yet Asian Americans are more educated, have higher earnings, and live longer than whites. This is what I read in a book called I think it was called The Inconveniencing Minority, because like the Asians really inconvenience this narrative. Affluent whites are the most enthusiastic about the idea of white privilege, yet they are the least likely to incur any cost of promoting that belief. Yeah, because like if you're surrounded by wealth, you think that, okay, well, and you think it's because you're white, then you're going to think, oh well, other white people must be just like me, and you get to say dumb shit like Bernie Sanders saying that white people don't know what it's like to be poor. In other words, upper class whites gain status by talking about their high status. When laws are enacted to combat white privilege, it won't be the privileged whites who are harmed. Yeah, I mean, if you're the son of someone that went to Yale or to Harvard, don't they have like those legacy programs where you can get your kid in if the father was in, right? And even then, like if they're really rich, they can pay for the education. So they won't give a shit. It's like, oh, they have affirmative action, which literally means like taking the place of someone else, regardless of their color, right? It's just like someone that studied hard and deserves to be there is not going to be there because their place is being taken by someone based on arbitrary characteristics. And if you're affluent, you don't have to worry about that shit. It is possible that affluent whites don't always agree with their own luxury beliefs, or at least have doubts. I mean, yeah, in this case, this lady is like, yeah, marriage is awful. Marriage is destroying society. Are you going to get married? Oh, of course I'm going to get married. It's just like, it's not for everyone. Maybe they don't like ideological fur coat they're wearing, but if their peers punish them for not sporting it all in town, they will never leave their house without it again. Because like with diamond rings or design clothing, upper class people don't luxury believe to separate themselves from the lower class. These beliefs in turn produce real tangible consequences for disadvantaged people, further widening the divide. Just as fashionable clothing will soon be outdated, so will today's fashionable beliefs. Yeah, but well, like take feminism. And by the way, this is written by a guy with a PhD. Take for example feminism, right? No one talks about the patriarchy anymore. No one talks about mansplaining and manspreading. I mean, it's a fashionable belief that just disappeared. But like none of the people that held it feel bad about holding it in the past, unless you're a TERF, I guess. By the way, speaking of diamonds, here's something that I don't understand. Let me see if I can... Okay. So I'm going to show you something really kitsch. Is kitsch the word? Kitsch. Kitsch. You know you can buy all these jewelry nowadays that look like precious stones, but they're not. So like, for example, these earrings. And you can probably buy them for, I don't know, like $20 or some shit like that. And they look great. I mean, if you can match them with an appropriate dress. I'm talking for the ladies, not for the men. Well, actually, if you're in America, probably the men as well. My point is, back in the day, like in the medieval time period, you couldn't artificially create stones that look like this. You couldn't cut them properly. You could, you know? So they had like precious stones. My question is like, why the fuck would anyone buy a precious stone when you can have access to this and it looks still good? I mean, at the end of the day, it's about the look, right? Does it look good or doesn't look good? Like, if you buy a precious stone, you can't even sell it with the same price that you bought it. So why the fuck do people spend so much money buying shit just because it's a precious stone? What the fuck is so precious about it? Now, I know, like, maybe you don't like this type of earring, but, like, trust me, there are others that look great. Because I was just in the mall today and I was trying to figure out, like, why do people invest so much money on trivial shit? Like, is it the purpose of the jewelry to look good? I know the way. $20 for that dollar store fakery. It's not fakery because they're not advertising it as precious stone, right? So if they don't advertise it as precious stone, then it's not a fake. It's exactly what's advertised. For bragging rights. I pretty much think like that's literally it. It's bragging rights. Because in the West, if you don't buy it, she'll leave you. Dude, my fiance would probably leave me if I buy her some expensive shit that she doesn't use. Except the wedding dress. Like that seems to be the only thing which is probably why I bought her. Let me show you something else. Okay, okay, fine. Maybe you think that that's Kichu or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of alchemy golf shit you can get. This is actually a really cool earring. I want this earring. But the thing is, like, they can look good, and you don't have to spend $1,000 on them, right? And my question is, like, why do people prefer to buy expensive jewelry? It makes absolutely no fucking sense. And so, not to mention, like, some of the expensive jewelry actually looks worse than what I've shown you. Like, for example, okay, here's some kitschy shit that I like. I know necklaces that look worse than this. What the fuck is this? A choke? Choke. They choke you. I know necklaces that look worse than this, and it is 100 times more expensive. I don't fucking get it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird. Yeah, and it's like the same people that say, "Oh well, art is subjective. You should subject." They're the same people that be like, "We buy a proper one." I know they look nice. Want to see something nice? Okay, I'll show you what you can get for your girlfriend. Okay. Here's something nice. If you have a girlfriend, get her this. Get her this shit, especially if she likes cats. Look at this. Whoop. Is it not cool? Is it like that? Just be like boop. I love it. And then you have like the dragon earrings. Let's see if I can find dragon earrings. The only problem with this is like it's difficult to find an occasion to wear them. But they're like $20, I think. Yeah, $20. Kind of cool. They're heavy as fuck, though. I would never. Much love, brother. Be well and take care of. Thank you, Davidani. It is cute, isn't it? I don't think most women will wear something like that. Well, I guess like 10 years ago they wouldn't, but now like a lot of women like geeky shit as well. Precious stones are an investment. I don't know if they're investment, considering like most people don't pay as much as you paid for it to begin with. Yeah, it is exotic. Anyway, right. I guess that's about it. So the moral of the stream is that woke ideology hurts the poor. The idea of telling people not to get married and telling people religion is bad isn't going well with the working class. So it's just kind of sad. You know, it's kind of sad what's happening, and it's kind of interesting to see like rich people complaining about poverty and income disparity, but using an ideology that keeps poor people down. So hopefully you guys liked this stream, and if you did, share it around. I'll see you tomorrow on my